Hi, and welcome to the second installment on learning the human body. Today, we'll be measuring blood pressure. So to begin, why do we care about blood pressure? Let's look at some statistics that have been done in the past. Well, in 2008, a study was done on Canadians and found that 2 in 5 Canadian adults are overweight, while 1 in 4 Canadian adults are obese. Obesity leads to many health problems, but the main focus today will be hypertension. But wait, what is hypertension? Hypertension is a condition where your arteries have an abnormally high blood pressure. Well, this can lead to stroke, coronary artery disease, and much more. So, to begin, we first look at the heart. Our heart has 4 major muscles. The top 2 are each known as the atrium, collectively are known as atria, while the bottom 2 are known as ventricles. The left side brings blood to the whole body, known as systemic circuit, whereas the right side brings blood to the lungs, known as a pulmonary circuit. The pumping of blood from our ventricle to our body has 2 phases. Diastole is when the ventricles are relaxed and blood is slowly beginning to fill it up. Systole is when the ventricle is contracting and the blood is being forced out to the rest of our body. So when measuring blood pressure, we are looking for 2 values, the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure. Systolic pressure is the highest arterial pressure reached during ventricular systole, while diastolic pressure is the lowest arterial pressure reached during ventricular diastole. These 2 pressure values change depending on the state of the patient, or in this case, the subject. This may be running, standing, or sitting, etc. So it's important to keep the subject in a stable environment to decrease the discrepancy. Thus, we'll also complete each experiment twice, which will also further help with that. For this experiment, we will need a stethoscope and a sphygmomamoter, which is also known as a blood pressure cuff. We first must collapse the brachial artery. This is done by having the pressure in the blood pressure cuff surpassing the pressure within the brachial artery. After the artery has finally been collapsed, we then begin to decrease the pressure within the blood pressure cuff. As the pressure decreases, the artery will soon begin to open and allow blood to flow through, allowing us to listen to the Korsakoff sounds with a stethoscope. The first sound heard is the systolic pressure. This will be a sharp tapping sound. As the pressure is further decreased, the sound will increase to a certain extent where it will then begin to become quieter and eventually stop. The stopping point is known as the diastolic pressure. The experiment is best done in groups with at least 4 members. The first person will be the subject, the second person will be the director, the third person will be the timer, and the fourth person will be the recorder. So, to begin, the first measurement will be taken with the subject sitting down, and this will be on the subject's left arm. First, we make sure that there is no air present within the blood pressure cuff. Next, we ensure that the valve is closed, so we then can proceed with the experiment. Now we get the subject seated and place their left arm on a table and ensure that they're comfortable. Next, palpate for the brachial artery. This will be located near the bicep on the subject. It is important to make sure that the artery label on the blood pressure cuff is against the brachial artery itself. Now, lock the cuff into place with the Velcro strap. Next, leave an inch or 2 of space between the bicep and the elbow, and place the stethoscope on the portion of the brachial artery between the cuff and the elbow. After the setup has been completed, and the pressure gauge is in a position which it can easily be read, we then increase the pressure to 160 millimeters of mercury. It's important not to keep the blood pressure on at high pressure over an extended period of time, as it may cause occlusion of blood vessels and pain. We can now start decreasing the pressure within the cuff at 2 to 3 millimeters of mercury per second and listen for the Korsakoff sound. Then immediately tell the recorder and the timer to get the current pressure and begin timing the duration of the Korsakoff sound. After the first Korsakoff sound is heard, the director must continue listening to the Korsakoff sound until it finally stops. Then tell the recorder the current pressure, so then the timer will stop the recording and we have the duration. The blood pressure cuff should now be completely deflated and the subject should be given a couple of minutes to rest before the next experiment. The next part will be exactly the same as the previous, except it will be done on the right arm instead of the left. All the following parts will also be done on the right arm and will be done twice. For the next part, the subject should be lying down and should try their best to stay as relaxed as possible. Now, with the blood pressure cuff on the subject's right arm, begin the recording of the blood pressure as done previously. For the next exercise, we need to elevate the subject's heart rate to a moderate level, so take off the equipment and begin either jogging on the spot or even doing mountain climbers. We now need to get the subject seated as quickly as possible, then place the cuff over the brachial artery once again with the stethoscope and begin the recording session. If the experiment continues for an extended period of time, the subject can perform exercises to elevate their heart rate once again. After the data collection has been finished, we should compile the data. This will allow the students to compare the systolic and diastolic values we found in class. Now would be the better time to tell the students what high and low systolic and diastolic values mean. Remember, the point of this experiment is to keep the students thinking about their current lifestyle and what they should change. Whether it be adding more exercise or changing their diet, the important part is the students learn that their decisions that they're making now may affect their lives forever. I hope you have enjoyed working on the second installment of Learning the Human Body, as we are finally finished. Look forward to the third installment where we work with the respiratory system. See you next time!